Yeah, I'm a little embarrassed to admit I got a little bit scammed. I lost maybe sort of kind of like $4, I think, because I gave away a key to the game I've been making, SkyShard, the city building auto battler. Links, as always, down below, which is actually currently 20% off right now on Steam if you're watching this video shortly after publication, with almost 100 total reviews on Steam at 96% positive. Anyway, I gave away a key to SkyShard to the very first person who ever emailed me asking for a key for SkyShard. At the time, I was like, oh, cool. Some random like YouTuber or whatever it was is asking me for a key who wants to play the game. That's awesome. I love that. What I didn't know at the time was that shortly thereafter, I would receive like 100, 200, 500 emails asking me for a key to SkyShard because they're a YouTuber who wants to play the game. Which obviously at that point you get really, really suspicious, and kind of brings me to the topic of today's video, which is key scammers, a thing I didn't even know existed until I made my own game and released it on Steam. But I saw this question pop up on Twitter the other day, and I've got a handy response here I can bounce off of to help explain this. Helios Monk, a developer who made a super sick game, by the way. This is like Dark Souls plus Super Monkey Ball, basically, by the way. Like, I just give them some free promo here, by the way. I need a clip. Show me a clip. Like, look at this, like crazy. You're like, you know, Super Monkey Balling around, but it's like, you know, crazy dark gothic setting and stuff. Looks insane. I think maybe like co-op elements too, some friend swap stuff in there, which is cool. Anyway, they asked this question. I get tons of emails from Steam curators asking for 2 to 3 keys. Is this legit? Is it a scam? So you basically get two kinds of emails. People who are Steam curators, who are like these kind of like people who like recommend and review games on Steam. And then also like YouTubers / Twitch streamers, content creators, basically. And when your game is listed, they'll find your email on Steam or whatever and just send you'll just get an endless amount. Now, sadly, I have like deleted most of my emails. I can't just like scroll through and show you all of them, but I still have a handful. I'm sure I'll be able to screenshot some of these. And you go and you look at their channels and you think, oh, okay, this looks kind of real. And they have like, you know, follower bots and stuff. So it looks kind of real. Now, I did go look at a bunch of them that had emailed me, but thankfully YouTube is like actually catching on and banning these channels. It must be clear to YouTube, you know, like they've just got a bunch of bot followers. These are all channels that emailed me that at one point or another, I may or may not have checked. One of these might have been the one I even sent an email to, or sent a code to. I don't know. So they're all getting banned by YouTube, which is really, really cool. But obviously you can tell, and at like first glance, they kind of look real. I do have this Twitch stream that sent an email asking, and at first glance, you're like, oh, 41,000 followers, last live 2 days ago. Okay, this looks kind of real. But then you like check their chat, and like number one, like this is like a, you know, gameplay VOD, nothing going on here. But then like their chat's just all bots. Why does this look so fun? Why does this look so fun? Like the most like generic fake chat messages, you know, that boss fight was intense. So again, just, you know, totally fake channels. And they take your keys, and especially if they're asking for 2 or 3, that's super suspicious, because like no content creator in particular, I don't think Steam creators either would ever need 2 or 3. They just want to increase the haul of available keys. They take your keys and then they sell them on these like shady third-party key reseller sites or whatever, right? So they just, you know, try to brute force this into basically getting like tons and tons and tons of free keys from unsuspecting developers who don't realize that this is all a scam and all fake. You know, they got one out of me because I just didn't even do any due diligence on the first one, because it's a key. It's kind of free. You know, it's like worth like $4 to me, like I said, right? Like at the end of the day, it's not like the biggest asset ever. But then like after I started getting more, and they all had the same kind of formatting and they all look super generic, as I started looking into it and inspecting the channels, like very clearly just fake channels. And then you just basically ignore all of them, which is annoying, because there could be some real ones that kind of get lost in the slop a little bit of all the fake bot scammers in the mix. So it does create this weird kind of pressure and desperation, taking advantage of devs in particular who, you know, just looking for any scrap of exposure they can get, which is most devs who don't have a crazy hit game. But then also in the news this week actually was a crazy hit game who apparently in one way or another fell fell for the same sort of scam, but on an even bigger scale. This game Restory, where you're like restoring electronics, and I think there's like some story mode. It's like maybe, I don't even know, I would say Papers, Please, but not really. I haven't played it, but it looks pretty sick anyway. They sold a ton of 300,000 copies in their first week. Insane, you know, mega hit really for an indie game. Just nuts. But apparently some of their keys, I don't know if it was like from direct scammers, maybe some like marketplace or kind of a marketing or affiliate sort of setup. I'm not exactly sure where all these keys came from, but they noticed a lot of their keys were being sold on third-party resellers like this. And they actually turned off all the keys, because you can go in Steam and like deactivate the keys. So all the people who bought them on those other sites, who frankly probably didn't know necessarily that they were, you know, acquired illegally or whatever, they may have been discounted in order to encourage the sale, of course, across and against Steam. But those people probably didn't realize they were, you know, stolen keys or whatever. They deactivated all those keys. All those people lost access to the game. Apparently 649 total keys. I made it through one. They made it to 649. And those people were like angry, which actually rightfully so. I kind of understand that. Like, it's not necessarily their responsibility to ensure the legitimacy of the key. I mean, I'm sure some people knew and took advantage of it, of course, but I have to imagine there were plenty of other innocent people who just didn't realize. You know, that's a lot of money. That, you know, that's I mean, maybe not that much money. We've sold 300,000 copies. That's a tiny, tiny fraction, but, I don't know, you know, they may have had to turn them off because Steam doesn't want you abusing your key system, because you can kind of get around Steam's cut if you take your keys and like were to sell them directly yourself on, who knows, like eBay or whatever, right? A marketplace like this. So Steam's like pretty defensive of their keys and making sure all commerce happens through the Steam platform. So they may have felt compelled by Steam to deactivate them. I'm not going to like place blame, but ultimately it does still suck for the person who bought their game on those third-party sites unknowingly. So this happens to games both big and small, and I'm sure, you know, smaller games, people without publishers who haven't ran into this before, first-time game devs, probably fall far more victim to this, where they've given away potentially, you know, who knows how many keys to all these emails. And before they kind of did the math, I happened to do it pretty quickly. It's been around this, you know, I'm a YouTuber, I get it. But like, I'm sure a lot of other people who just really, really need eyeballs and need promotion are like, yeah, I'll send out all my keys. Which, does it actually cost you money at the end of the day? As I kind of alluded to in that tweet, I don't really think so. Like, you know, would that person have bought the game at full price on Steam? Maybe, but also maybe not, because they like the discount, or, you know, you might lose a few real legitimate sales, of course. I'm not going to say it's nothing, but at the same time, you probably don't ultimately lose that much money, even across those 649 keys. I wonder how many people would have bought the game at full price from that batch, you know. And again, compared to 300,000 copies total, it probably feels like a bit of a drop in the bucket, but still, ultimately, you know, lost revenue is lost revenue. So I just had no idea this world existed. But basically, if you're a game dev out there, particularly first-time game dev, and you get all these emails that are like very specifically using your game's like full name, and they seem really templated and really bot-like, they are. It's just scammers who want to take advantage of your keys. Certainly keep that in mind. So I actually wanted to talk about one little other indie dev thing I kind of encountered and I like thought was interesting this week. Before we hop into a run of SkyShard, as I always do in these little update videos, it's like half Regis talks about game dev and then half Regis plays his game. Particularly, I want to do a solo mode run in my game today, because that's been a little bit of discourse among our player base. But there's one other thing I wanted to talk about, which is I saw this. There's a game that came out this week called what's it called? Lootbound? Yeah, Lootbound, which looks really sick. Like, just this absolutely beautiful like pixel art style, like crazy character design. Like, just it's got some like inventory management stuff, which is kind of sort of adjacent to our game, which our game is sort of a backpack battle spin with city building, but you know, this is also kind of a backpack battles meets Slay the Spire. I haven't actually played it yet, but from what I can tell anyway, not exactly backpack battle, but, you know, inventory management aspects to it, but a roguelike. And this looks really, really cool. It actually was getting reviewed pretty harshly at first. It had mixed reviews out the gate, but it seems like they've powered through that now up to very positive. I think a lot of people are complaining about like difficulty and RNG elements in the game, some like low rolls and stuff. But anyway, for the last like 6 months, I've been watching this game because it like always pops up on stuff, you know, Steam Next Fest or whatever. And I was like, good God, this game is so insane. It looks so good. And, you know, you think like, oh, indie, you know, you think all indie developers are equal, right? And you're like, I can't even imagine us making something that looks this good, like this good of pixel art. And I was like, how do these small teams do this? You know, and this is who I feel pressured to compete against, because for us, it's just me and my buddy Ben. And for our current game, SkyShard, a few contract artists. For our next game, not even that. Just I'm actually doing pixel art, which is honestly awesome and super fun and I love. But so like it's literally just the two of us, right? But then I saw this post on Reddit that said after years of hard work, our small team just hit the release button, and I was like, oh look, there's only 2 people here. It is a really small team. They really have done an amazing job. But then the camera pans over, right? The camera pans over. Watch. There's like 3 people already. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23-ish people in this frame. And that may not even necessarily be everybody, which in the scheme of, you know, big games, like, you know, I play Marvel Snap, I've covered Hearthstone for years, you know, that is a small team in the scheme of like big corporate games, but for indie games, that's a huge team. I was like, oh bro, no wonder, right? Like, no wonder this is so hard to compete against. No wonder. And even the YouTube comments are saying the same thing, right? Like, quote, small team, just a small indie team where you got their fully loaded corporate office with an entire stacked team of people for every role, which, by the way, I'm not going to give them shade for being the size they are, right? Like, you know, they are the size that they are. There's no, you know, there's different sizes of games. And I would consider this more of like a small to mid-sized team personally, but you know, they may come from a corporate world where this does feel really small. So anyway, that just was like a little bit of a nice, like, oh, whew, like I could breathe, because I was like, how can I compete against this? Now, here's the really interesting part of that though, right? Players don't care, nor should they. When they load up Steam, they are going to compare that game to ours, right? They don't have any idea about the team size, and they don't care. They don't need to. It's not their responsibility. Their only responsibility is to their own enjoyment and to their dollar. So in some ways, it's a relief, because you're like, oh, I feel better about what we're able to accomplish. But at the same time, at the point of competition, at the point of sale, right? Like the end user, the buyer here, the marketplace doesn't care. It just ignores all of that, and it takes the product that is the best. So it is still a lot of pressure. At the same time, you know, we have a much lower expectations and demands and budget. Like, you know, we can afford to lose out on some of those sales and perhaps, you know, win out on gameplay, or just find our niche or find our audience somewhere else. It's fine, but like, it is just a sobering reminder in some ways, like, you know, you have to compete against these teams and still find success. So anyway, I had this observation this week about indie games. I thought that was a cool little aside to talk about, but best of luck to them. It seems like they're already turning around the review score, so that's pretty awesome. I'm going to buy that game and play it, by the way. I just haven't had a chance because I've been traveling, but Lootbound looks pretty sick. So anyway, that's the world of indie games right now. For us, SkyShard, like I said earlier, is currently on sale for 20% off right now. We are so freaking close to 100 reviews. My God, guys, I just want to get to 100. Like, so, like, number one, that's just like a personal milestone. We're obviously going to do it before we leave early access. Like, you know, like clearly it's going to happen. We're going to get there, but I'm just like itching. I just want to see the number, right? I also think it just looks cooler. You know, like 100 feels far more authoritative. But that's just like a little milestone for me I wanted to hit. But we're on sale for 20% off right now through August 21st. You still got a few days. But yes, things are still cooking and moving. You know, just really right now, waiting on art assets to finish is the biggest kind of overhead for SkyShard, but Ben and I have a few other things cooking. We have a new hero that's designed and is going to be coming soonish, as soon as the art is done. So that'll be next up. We've also got a few of those other features we talked about in the early access process. You know, all this stuff is still planned and still on the way. SkyShard will be done as soon as we can get it done. But anyway, check out the sale if you're curious. I haven't even really talked about it much. Most of you here will know it, but SkyShard is a city building auto battler, a little bit backpack battles, a little bit Sim City. You know, you're going to be very strategically placing buildings in the right spot to maximize their synergies. I actually saw a really sick looking city building Balatro game. What was that called? Like Combo Rogue Lands or something? Combo Lands. I had it right there. Oh my gosh. Combo Lands Rogue. Oh my gosh. Combo. This looked pretty sick too, dude. I was like, oh yeah, this looks rad. So I'm going to be playing this soon too, man. I think it's a really good idea. I think it actually probably does a lot of similar stuff to us, just a different ultimate loop there with the Balatro spin instead of the Backpack Battles PvP spin, but pretty cool looking anyway. So that said, we've had some discussion this week in the SkyShard Discord. Somebody said one of my solo runs is too hard. Not the newest one. I've designed a new one, but they said an older one they were trying to beat was too hard. So I wanted to go live test the difficulty right now. When I designed them all, I obviously test the difficulty. My goal is for like good players to be able to beat them in roughly 1 to 2 tries. Like honestly, our best players should probably be beating our solo modes in 1 try. Like, you know, because that means average or under, you know, below average players are able to beat them still in a reasonable time frame, right? But somebody said they tried 10 times to beat this solo run, which is too long. I don't want that, right? So I am ultimately one of our better players, so I just wanted to go in and test it. You know, we've had some balance changes too, which aren't always considered for these. It's not easy to go back in and like re-update. That island looks sick down there, by the way. That looks so freaking cool. So many solid mana stones some in there. But you know, we're gonna go in, we're gonna test, we're gonna see how it feels. We go into modes here. We've got all kinds of solo modes now. I want to have like 20 of these by release, by the way. What do we have right now? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So we're halfway there. I don't know if we'll get to 20, but that's just a rough goal. I really like making these, frankly. We did just do Magnus the Minuscule, which I'll show you real quick just because I want to show off. I actually made some art for the game for once. Let's just we don't need to just get through the shop here so we can see the little pop-ups here. Zap Zap knows that castle. It belongs to Magnus, an old colleague of Zap Zap's from the academy. He was a rather large bearded fellow back then, but Zap Zap heard an accident with a gigantification spell turned him into a rather tiny furry rodent these days. Zap Zap hopes he is taking it. Here's the very tiny, spoiler alert, very tiny Magnus. I drew that. It's not great. It doesn't hold up to our normal standards, but it's so small, I figured I could get away with it. Like, it's just small enough. That's the gag, right? He's a tiny mouse. So I made it super small. Interlopers, how dare you besiege my shard? You've made a huge mistake. You'll notice as I wrote these that Magnus the Minuscule here always kind of refers to you with words that are big. Huge mistake, right? There's a lot more of those if you play through this, but that's not the only gag in this build. He's also only going to use 1x1 units other than his own castle. So only 1x1s, and his rating, by the way, hilariously is 1-1-1-1. So you need to be able to build against a battle that is using exclusively small stuff, which can surprisingly impact how you play things out. Like, you know, there's going to be a lot of units and a lot of small units, so certain things might be better than others. But that's actually not the solo mode I want to test today. I want to test Maris the Pure, because this is the one that is supposedly too difficult, and that's what we're going to find out. Just how hard is it? All right, so as always, let's embrace random here, just to not bias our results too much. So we ended up with our buddy Zap Zap, which, you know, I'm realizing something. Somebody left a review questioning Zap Zap's name and why it was Zap Zap. It's because he has a huge bug zapper that he uses to catch flies, because he's a frog, and even this dragonfly apparently was caught but still befriended Zap Zap. That's why it's a ghost dragonfly. But I'm realizing on the main screen you see Zap Zap, you can't actually see his bug zapper. We covered it up with the giant quest. We covered it up. No wonder people don't know his name, Zap Zap. Well, what were we thinking? What a terrible idea. Anyway, let's go for that. Thriving Trees. We'll get a bunch of tier 1 units, and we'll get something cool to go with it. The Elder Dandelion. Now, this is interesting. Now, I know this game mode, right? And I know what's going to happen in this fight is that we're going to end up fighting a lot of ancient units, of which the Soul Engine will get buffed by. And one of the tips in Discord was like, hey, look for a Soul Engine. That's a great way to win this, because it gets buffed by all the freaking you know, all the ancients that the opponent will be using. But from a first-time user experience, somebody who doesn't know that or maybe can't find the Soul Engine, I don't want to use that as a hack. So we're going to go ahead and go for the Thorn Thruster, because I think that's, generally speaking, going to be a much better unit on average, and much more likely one to be picked anyway by opponents as well. So I think that's the right route to go. Otherwise, we're just going to fill in and get some of those tier 1 trees so that our quest is done. So this weapon has piercing. Got some defensive buffs, health buffs here. How wonderful. Maris the Pure is a dear old friend of Zap Zap's. She might be the nicest wizard he has ever met. This should be a fun test of might, but please do not go too hard on her. And man, she is starting out so strong. I forget sometimes. Like the design goal with a lot of these has been to give them like a rhythm where it's like a little hard at first, maybe things are a little tough, but then you get kind of a breather where they don't have as strong of a board for a couple turns. I think there is a slight chance, by the way, we win this fight. Our weapon is much better. Oh, it's gonna be so close. Our weapon is much better long term, but oh, because we get a bunch of lifesteal on our Thorn Thruster, it almost outpaced that, which is kind of crazy. So I'm going to go for a production unit, because I think that last fight was so close already. Ooh, I love our new art on Mana Refinery, by the way. That's super sick. Probably safer to go with Stockmore's Warehouse, by the way. Tier 4 Ancient could give me another weapon already. Ooh, it doesn't. But a Vile Totem is probably fine. It's the kind of thing we could maybe build around. Just right now, anyway, it's defense. This is definitely going to be a win, right? We almost won last time, and it looks roughly the same. Although Velmir is going to buff the damage on this artillery repeater to be notably stronger. The artillery repeater is almost dead to the... No, I don't know if we are going to win, actually. We're at 28 lifesteal this time, so it's actually even higher. But I think the weapon's getting to us sooner. We're healing for 32 every time we attack, but that's dealing 147, right? So we're not quite outpacing. Gosh, it's really close again, because that weapon's almost dead. Ah, yeah, it's so close. The good news is we're taking minuscule amounts of damage, which is another balancing lever on these that I honestly probably need to think about a little bit more, is like, close fights are really safe, because trophy count doesn't really matter in these solo modes. You just need to survive. So, you know, if you're only losing, for instance, weapon to weapon, and that's a tiny weapon, if you had a big weapon in that slot as opposed to that tiny weapon, I'm going to take credit for how smart I am here, we would have maybe already taken like 20 plus damage. But because I chose a small weapon, and honestly, it's been like 3 or 4 months since I designed this, that could have been, I don't remember that specifically, but maybe that was irrelevant. Maybe I'll take credit for that for real. You know, but that basically eases the pressure a lot here and gives a lot more time to catch up later. So Stockmore's Warehouse again. Yeah, let's go for more nature units, because again, we want to hit this quest. That's a really strong power spike for us. Tree is perfect. That's our nature units. There's our Elder Dandelion. That's really going to keep things in a good spot. Now we know the opponent has an explosive weapon, so maybe we just spread out our guys here a little bit. Trees do benefit from being next to each other, but probably not more than the explosive roll off here. Might actually be close, I don't know. Now, one thing we were talking about too in Discord is currently our solo modes don't have guaranteed weapon shops like PvP does. In PvP, we like guarantee weapon shops on certain rounds to make sure things feel a little more even. If you miss weapons, we don't want you feeling completely blown out by your opponents. We don't guarantee that in solo mode, so that could be a change too, just to make sure people are playing in a way that's like on average a little better. Oh man, 42 lifesteal. Like, we do attack like almost twice as fast, so I feel like this is going to be the first fight we finally turn the corner fast enough. Yeah, indeed it is. Okay, nice. But of course things aren't going to stay the same here. Spoiler alert. Things are going to get very different soon. So I do need another weapon. Tier 5 magic does have some weapons. Spellbound rocket could actually be okay. Yeah, Weather Machine I think would be too hard to get going at this stage. If I had taken that Mana Refinery, maybe, but I also want to play in a way that's like a little bit more generic, you know, just kind of play in an average way. So I'm not doing anything too specific or too smart, just what a regular player might do, just take the big, shiny, exciting thing. Here is another weapon, the Firepot Trebuchet this time around, shredding our town units. So that's another thing to keep in mind is Town's gonna get melted a little faster, but I think we're totally fine here. This looks like we're quite strong. Piercing damage softened everybody up. Now we have explosive damage to come in too. Absolutely melting them here. It's good. We're probably going to need a little bit of a breather because, you know, like I talked about that rhythm, right? That was probably a couple of slow rounds, particularly before that second weapon showed up. That may have increased things a little bit, but you want to have, you know, there might be a power spike soon where we need to be ready for it. Ah, the Mana Refinery. This time, or do we go Spell Factory for some enchantments? Enchantments are pretty powerful. That could be something, though, that a regular player kind of misses out on. They don't realize, like, oh, hey, I don't have enough enchantments, and maybe that's why they're falling behind a little bit. That could be true. I don't know. Just, again, playing kind of generic. Now, oh, that is odd. There seems to be a Necromancer hut on Maris's SkyShard. There it is. I see it on the outskirts of town. It is probably nothing to worry about. She would never be corrupted by ancient magic. Zap, zap. You're so innocent. Oh, yeah. Also, Spell and Rocket really good against the Town Hall, too. I forgot. Like, you know, these are the kinds of things, like, if you're playing through these and you're losing, to take note of for a second time around. Like, oh, yeah, they had a Town Hall. I can get a lot of upside out of explosive damage, right? Oh, yeah, they're going to shred my town with their Firepot Trebuchet. I shouldn't overcommit into my town, or maybe I should spread it out better to deny that explosive damage, right? The cool thing about, like, this versus PvP runs is, like, PvP runs, you never know what you're going to get. It's never going to be the same 2 straight times. In these solo modes, it is going to be the same every time. Oh, we might lose this time around. Oh, it's close. No, we're fine, I think. Our weapon's way better in Fatigue Wizard, too, because it says all that lifesteal, tons of health. So, you know, it's one of those where... you adjust over time, basically, and next time around, you'll just be so much better prepared, right? Okay, some enchantments there. Still just kind of looking for more weapons right now. Anything that's just, like, kind of small and good. Basically, this could get an artillery repeater, could get a Jefferson, a few things I like there. Ah, Firepot Trebuchet is really nice, too. Yeah, another good weapon. We have now 2 explosive weapons to shred their town stuff. This could give me some cool things. Hey, the turkey, as I call him. I think this looks too much like a turkey still. We may need to add some pink or something in there, right? It's supposed to be a heart. Which it does look very much like an anatomical heart. That was the brief I gave. It came back exactly as I asked. But I'm worried at just first glance it looks a bit like a turkey, like a cooked turkey sitting on a platter, which is fine too. I'm okay with calling it a turkey. The idea, we didn't put the lore in yet, that's my fault. But the idea on this one, of course, is a heart's like pumping blood. You know, we have the knowledge compositum that looks like a brain. I liked kind of... Novus is basically a faction that's all about science and using science and stuff. So I was thinking, you know, like we've got some space science, like black holes and so on, but also like the body, you know, we got brain and heart as like they're not, you know, it's a crystal, but it's shaped like a heart, a crystal that's shaped like a brain. That becomes a kind of, you know, this is animal science with a chameleon, right? Using different aspects of nature in a cool scientific way. So anyway, does it look too much like a turkey? Probably yes, but I like it. At the same time, I think we're keeping it. Do I need the turkey right now? It is pretty good for Vile Totem. We could have something gain a lot of health and then pass it to the Vile Totem. That's a pretty cool idea, actually. Oh, whoops, this needs to go like, yeah, let's do something like this. Where I guess the Dandelion's gonna gain a lot of life off the Minder. The Dandelion's gonna pass it to the Vile Totem. And then, I don't know. And then maybe the Corrupt Alchemist starts buffing the Vile Totem. I gotta put this blue crystal here too, by the way. So far, so good, right? Like, we've still only taken 4 damage through 6 rounds. But you can see some more corruption entering the opponent's town here. Some derelict houses now in the town center. Maris the mayor here seems to be turning for the worse, guys. Breaking bad, as it were. That's the story of the solo mode, right? Is a change. Some of these are more like storyline based. Some of these are more like gimmick or challenge based. This one's more of a storyline, you know. telling a little bit of a story through the island, which, by the way, we are just shredding right now. We aren't even going to need our Vile Totem. We're just melting. 3 great weapons. Altering Stone is cool. Vinculi is cool. Conjured Shield is fine. Spellbinding, put wherever. Looking for some more Corrupt Alchemists now. I think they're going to be really good on the Vile Totem. It's a really good idea. More production units? Probably not. I think we've got enough now. EMP Mine, I don't think was going to have anything to affect. Another, takeaway from solo modes, right? Like sometimes you just know the opponent's not gonna have that thing that you're worried about. So okay, just thinking here, making plans. Terran the Enchanter buffs based on enchantments, which we do have a few thanks to our spell factory. Let's go for the buffer bot here. Another just annoying defensive unit up front. Nurturing Sprite we don't really need, but it's okay. At some point we're gonna want to sell some of this leftover stuff. Uh-oh, the Cloaked Witches are here. Another Necromancer hut. Right now, though, the Spellbound Rocket is just farming this fight, right? That might be a really good tip for somebody who's struggling with this one, because it's just deleting their board so fast that, like, even if we do struggle late, we're going to be saving so much health here in these early to mid rounds. And I think that Town Hall stays the whole way through, as I recall designing this. So I feel like, there's probably that Soul Engine we talked about is a really cool counter for this build, but also Spellbound Rocket. So keeping an eye on like high cost magic shops could actually be really, really important. That's fun to think about. All the different ways you kind of end up building in little counters and stuff. This piercing modifier doesn't really do anything to us. More enchantments, sure. Let's take more spell shield. Firepower on the rocket seems good. Let's go for a structure here. Obelisk, did that have anything cool? I'm trying to think. We can throw our production units. This throws stuff at the enemies, so that might be all right. Watchtower to buff our town speed. It is dying kind of fast. I think you just take Corrupt Alchemist again. And in fact, I think since your town stuff's going to get hit a lot, I think you just go something like this, where the alchemists are eating a bunch of health and buffing the Vile Totem. Presumably, I haven't actually double checked that. The Vile Totem, though, should be roughly the biggest guy. This also can buff ancient units as well, which right now is basically almost only the Vile Totem, right? We have the Vile Totem, these guys which are dying immediately, and the Obelisk. So that would catch a lot of extra health buffs, yeah. Okay. I actually don't remember how well this Vile Totem is going to compete against like the rest of this build, but I'm hoping it's relevant. It's the kind of thing a normal player would do, like find a Vile Totem and play it, right? Right now, they're getting a bunch of Vile Totems, by the way, that are going to destroy my weapons. So this Lifesteal weapon is, again, potentially a really good option. Spellbound Rocket, though, is kind of dying. Spellbound Rocket survives with 9 health remaining currently. So we're still going well. Vile Totem only at 600 health for us, though. Hasn't really done what we've needed so far. Honestly, this Elder Dandelion's not exactly the best thing. Maybe we should use these Vinculis instead, and just put this guy somewhere else out here. Accelerate speed buff is awesome. Miracle can go kind of wherever. I don't even know. Buffer bot, sure. More power lines. Why not? Yeah. Let's look for more Corrupt Alchemists. Firestorm Shelter is actually pretty legit because I can kind of redirect some of that damage we might take from the Trebuchet. That said, I do think the Trebuchet is going to go away soon, but we don't know that yet as a regular player, right? That's something I only know because I designed it. We're not supposed to know that yet, so let's play as if we don't. Jeffrey's pretty good on the Vile Totem again, yeah? Let's go for those Jeffreys. Buff that Vile Totem. Magic Missile Mine's fine. Throw it in. Velmir buffing our explosive weapons, theoretically good. I'm a little bit worried those might die. I kind of need to sell some stuff, by the way. Like this power plant's just not useful right now. There are giant tentacle monsters. It is certainly something to worry about. She was definitely corrupted by ancient magic. I still think this text line falls too late. That is a direct callback to the previous text line from Zap Zap, but by the time you see it, you don't remember anymore. Like, before he said, it's nothing to worry about. She would never be corrupted by ancient magic or whatever. And now it says it's definitely something to worry about. She was definitely corrupted by ancient magic. As you can see, there's very little of the town left now. It's mostly just ancient units. But again, Spellbound Rocket's just doing work. I mean, from this stage, we only have 7 rounds left. You can lose up to 50 health per round. I mean, at this point, even if we, you know, lose out, we basically have 4 rounds out of 7 available, and that's if we're taking like max damage every time, which I don't think is going to happen, although it does look like we're about to lose this fight. Whew. How much health does this guy have? 1200 with 36 lifesteal. I mean, that's going to help us a little bit for sure. We're not going to win here, but we're not going to take a ton of damage. We're still killing things with Rocket too. Yeah, like this is, oh, actually Fatigue Wizard 2 is going to really equalize this. So we took 14 here. So that was kind of a big spike of weapons. Hopefully we get a little bit of a breather round where things don't go too crazy from there. Regeneration, huh? I guess it can go on like Jeffrey. Yeah, level up is pretty good on the Thorn Thruster. I'm still looking maybe for some more Vincoolies on this Mushroom Minder. It's not the best life gain unit for the transfer on, to be honest, but it's what we got right now. Maybe a big tier 4 anything right now. Ooh, another weapon. I do like weapons because we saw they were using those Vile Totems. Having more weapons is a way for us to like potentially spread out the kind of like, not every weapon's going to be slamming into these Vile Totems, right? Like it's going to be kind of spreading that damage return. You'll kill the Vile Totem basically by the time. But another good note on that, right, is that these 2 units also ignore the Vile Totems for a while. They have you know, specific targeting, which can really help you dodge those Vile Totems too. So we're kind of accidentally here stumbling into a few different counters for this build, right? It's nice to know there are a few things that solve problems in this build. Having mini weapons, having life gain on your weapons, having direct targeting around the Vile Totems. We talked about Soul Engine just kind of outscaling because you get so many buffs from ancient units. I feel good about this. I'm surprised. I wonder if there's something specific about that player's playstyle that struggled with this build a little bit. Because right now I'm feeling pretty good about like the variety of ways to solve problems here. Like, you know, I don't feel like we're, you know, like force, like sometimes you worry like, oh, there's only one counter and you have to find that exact counter. I don't think that's great design. I don't want lockouts. I want to like nudge you in certain directions. I feel like we're in a pretty good spot, but oh my god, a second Spellbound Rocket is crazy lucky. I almost don't want to take it because I think it's going to trivialize this fight too much, and I'd rather get a good kind of test case than like, you know, an easy win or whatever. I'm not really interested in easy wins. I've beaten this 20 times already or whatever in my life, you know? It's not about the easy wins, it's about good test cases. So I think I don't have a good spot for my town stuff, by the way. Like, I kind of want to move all of this. I don't know, maybe like that. Yeah, I don't know. Where am I trying to put this Spellbound Rocket down here? Oh, I didn't. Oh, I wasn't gonna buy the Spellbound Rocket, you idiot. I forgot. I was like, that's the best thing, so my brain took over. Vincoolies again, we love. Every Vincoolie we get is more health on the transfer on, which means more health on the Towering Shadewood, which is great. Or excuse me, on the Vile Totem, which is great. Hopefully that Vile Totem is the highest health unit. Like, is it getting buffed by the... You know what? The weapons are probably... Yeah, the Red Sun Shrine is actually going to get buffed by the Corrupt Alchemist now, which isn't ideal, I guess. But until it's a problem, it's not a problem, right? Vile Totem is still at 681. Soon it's going to start getting buffed by the Jeffries, 679. I mean, that's not really enough to kill anything, but it looks like this double Spellbound Rocket, like we said, is shredding. So I don't think it matters. This build from the opponent is kind of about countering my weapons. It's like giving them negative life steal, so they're kind of killing themselves. It's about, you know, big back end damage on those tentacles, but so far, so good. I mean, To me, it looks like we're gonna cruise from here, to be honest. I think we're gonna be totally fine. No Vinculi. Suppressor Rod. I don't know. They had a little bit of explosive and piercing, but not that much. I don't think we need that. Some more defense right now might be fine. Just stuff to toss in. I think we're just... I mean, I think we found the right alignment of weapons, which may be a little bit lucky, but I felt like there were a few options that all worked pretty well. Dude, this build's coming together. Cool. It's looking sick. It's looking so sick, dude. Look at all the derelicts, the cloaked witches. Still some temp art in this one. A lot of temp art, but that's okay. Dude, we are just melting that town hall so fast. Melting the graveyard, that's really important. I actually feel like Spellbound Rocket is a better counter to this build than even Soul Engine, which was probably the one I was most top of mind on, but you know, this is not to invalidate that person's experiences at all. It's because I'm actually going to ask them even more questions maybe, because I'm really curious. I'd like to see what kind of builds they were trying, because it does feel like a few of these things. I also wonder if there's like a value thing. We did get a lot of value, right? Like we went for a lot of production units early. That might be something they're not doing as much either. It's just one of those where I don't really know. It's this is garbage. We can throw that anywhere. It's feeling about right to me, right? Like this would have been a good counter. This was a good counter. This was a surprisingly interesting counter with the lifesteal. We saw the Soul Engine. Those are all weapons that seem really relevant. I don't even know that what we've been doing on our front line's particularly interesting. Like it's probably been fine, but I don't think it's like making the difference here. I just think it's kind of anything in the front line seems like it was probably going to do okay. So maybe value, you know, what are the right ways for us to kind of teach these sort of things, right? How do we make players more aware of these things, maybe? That's the question I have to ask. I mean, you know, it could be as simple as like a voice line, you know, maybe Zap Zap says something about like, oh, if you could kill that town hall, right? Those are the kinds of things you start to wonder about. Like, is that the path to get people to see these kind of counters that exist or whatever? Oh my God, another Transferon. Let's do it, man. Double Vinculi Transferon's really cool, actually. That's super fun. I just need this Mushroom Ender to hit a lot. A second Mushroom Ender would actually be really sweet at this point. We're running out of rounds, but that's okay. Dude, this build looks so cool, though. Now it's double. They got rid... Oh, okay. So they got rid of the Town Hall. That is going to make the Spellbound Rockets notably worse, although they still do kill the graveyards and some pretty key targets. I will also say the Obelisk is softening up these Vile Totems. That's honestly another kind of soft counter of sorts. Vile Totem also at 1500 health here becomes a real threat. This might actually be killing some weapons, which is nice. Might not. They have enough that it might spread out. It doesn't... I don't know if it was directly responsible for any deaths, but yeah. Even the rockets are still really good against all the little mid-sized town units and stuff. I think we're cruising, man. I think this is just... an absolute cruise right now. Officio is honestly like not bad. It's not great, but it's not bad. Jeffries again. Yeah, let's go. Just at this point, you know, anything's gonna work fine. Glowberries are actually pretty sweet. Could buff the Vile Totem a lot more again. Explosion Device. Stun 3 enemy Tinker units. That does nothing, so just use that as a body out front here. Yeah, Obelisk feels like a little bit of a counter too, which is cool. There's a lot of techie answers to this build, so I don't really feel the urge to change anything. I guess we'll just monitor it and see. I mean, if the quoted 10, it took 10 attempts to beat this and still hadn't beat it is true, which I have no reason to believe it's not. I'm really curious. Maybe I'm just undervaluing my like skills as a player. Like maybe, you know, as a developer and higher level player, you know, maybe some things are coming more obvious to me than I realize. Like, you know, just value decisions, buying decisions, purchasing decisions. But I don't know. I have to think... You know, at some point you stumble into one of these kind of counters of sorts. I don't know. I gotta think about it more. Oh, another weapon is just beautiful. Yeah, that's perfect. Maybe a little bit of luck. But, you know, it's interesting. I didn't find this build comparatively harder than others, and a lot of players said the same, but the person said they'd been beating a lot of other builds. It must be something very specific to their playstyle, because they'd been beating all the other solo runs, but specifically struggled with this one. I wonder, you know, this is a build again that counters weapons very directly, right? You've got Vile Totems reflecting damage, you've got this slowing them down, you've got Derelicts removing damage points, Cloaked Witches applying negative lifesteal, even the Myria like literally redirecting weapons. So I wonder if there's something about their playstyle that's heavily reliant on maybe not enough weapons, or like specific weapons, or maybe they just got a really bad run of weapon recommendations. I don't know. I'm trying to think about, like, you know, my design brain is trying to solve what's gone wrong there, basically. Because this is feeling, you know, like I said at the beginning, this is what I want, right? Beat this in one attempt, basically, and, you know, and particularly this, since it's not even losing that much health, feels like a really, really good spot to be for a good player, so that there's still wiggle room for average and bad players to be able to get there on a good day or a good run or whatever. This is a really good, clean margin of victory as far as I'm concerned. So I guess the question is, how, like, am I doing anything super weird? Am I, you know, again, I don't really have those answers. I'm not going to know those answers right now, but those are the questions I'm asking anyway. Another weapon, sort of, kind of, and another Vile Totem. We'll just throw that in. A little bit of turnabout, right? And then another stone wall should be fine, yeah. Actually, let's put that stone wall on the obelisk. That can then snipe a... Zab Zab is afraid Maris may be past redemption. She embraced the dark, and now you must help her find it. I should change that word to, like, she sought the dark or something. I don't know. Embraced. It kind of sounds like she already found it, you know? I don't know. Anyway. I'm sorry, dear friend. Oh, Zap Zap. Yeah, I don't expect anything to change here. It's just more of the same stuff. Rockets are surviving the Vile Totems, no problem. It's funny, my instinct might have been almost to make this more difficult based on how this build has gone, but you know, oh, we did lose one of our Spellbound Rockets there, actually, to the counter damage. That was maybe the first time that's happened. This is feeling a little bit closer, but still plenty significant margin of victory. Yeah. Huh. Okay, that went great. That went great. I'm torn because I don't know exactly what my takeaways are here. I'm trying to think about what my takeaways look like and what to make of this whole thing. I think I just need to hear more people's experiences and see more data on it to really make decisions. I think it might be a really specific playstyle thing, which I guess if I think about it, I'm okay with that going wrong sometimes, right? Like if you play in a really specific way and that's the issue, like we said, maybe some kind of weapon aspect, and you know, you get countered, that's probably fine as long as, you know, you have a lot of other good experiences. Maybe that even gives you a teaching moment as well, like an over-reliance on weapons or specific weapon or something maybe is causing that and making you rethink how you kind of approach the game or whatever. I'm cool with that, I think, even if it's maybe a little frustrating. I don't really want people to be frustrated, but I think a lot of players will find their way through this one successfully without a lot of struggle also. I think it's a fun one too. I really like this kind of corrupted town thing going on. That was a cool little storyline unfolding. So anyway, that's a good takeaway. I mean, you're always thinking about these things. Always, you know, players surprise you and you have to really think about how to approach things. So anyway, let me know what you guys think. Hopefully you enjoyed this cool little build we put together too. It's a fun little counter build. So that's SkyShard. As I said, 20% off right now if you want to play that solo run and more. I think that one's a little bit less puzzly, but a little bit, I guess, with the weapon countering stuff. Some of them are much more puzzly. Some of them are more straightforward storylines. These first three are kind of like introductions to character and learning a little bit about our heroes. But yeah, I think I really, really like making these a lot, by the way. It's super fun. I don't honestly think they're the most popular thing we have, but I don't care. I just like doing it for fun anyway. I'm learning a lot. So anyway, There's a brand new one, Magnus the Minuscule. I just teased that one. That one's really, really fun, I think. Really, if you like dad jokes, you're going to love that. So thank you for watching. Good luck out there to all the other indie devs of the world we mentioned. I'll try to include links to my game, and if I remember those other games we talked about as well, because I know some of you are going to be curious to check those out. So thank you, and I guess I will see you around.